responsible for transforming society. Our speaker today has completed studies in electrical engineering, both in the UK and Spain. He worked as a technician in innovation and in I&D at Ulma Packaging. And then in 1993, he became a lecturer in the Department of Electronics at the Polytechnic School of Mondragon University, where he had studied. He focuses his research in technological innovation in the area of signal theory and communications. And in 2007, he was elected the Director General of the Higher Polytechnic School of Mondragon until January 2015, when he became rector. Mr. Vicente Atxa, you have the floor.
Buenos días a todos y a todas.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I'd like to thank the organizers and the government of Bilbao as well for hosting this fantastic event, and also ECOAS for co-organizing this event so that we can share our challenges and achievements so far. Today I'll try to share with you what we do at Mondragon University to improve our society so that it is a more just, fair, equal society. I've been introduced as a previous lecturer, and I am the rector, the head of Mondragon University. And besides what Maria Eugenia, who introduced me, has said, I like to say that I am a kid who lived in a town, a very small town, and then when I turned 18, I decided to go to study to Mondragon University, and I understood cooperatives because of my family and my family's friends. And this is why I chose to study engineering. I spent 4 years with these studies in what I called quite a traditional model, at least for most part of those lessons. Now, we're talking about 1983, right? But in our training, there were some aspects, and I'll show you later, that were slowly being introduced, taking things such as providing opportunities to us to study abroad, values, ethics, to learn doing things and with real things. And this is what shaped me. This is what made a difference to me. And this is why when I finished my engineering studies, I decided to train more in the UK, to go to Germany to work. And what I had learned from this cooperative movement and from university, I took with me, and I have been trying to provide my input in the in my work, in my current work. And this is why I like to introduce myself as a kid who decided to study at university, and that's what really changed, transformed my life. That is what university made to Vicente's life, someone who's married, with kids, with problems like everyone else. And I hope that I can give back to that university that gave so much to me. And when they offered me the opportunity to share what Mondragon University does at ICOT, I was delighted. You will have 10 minutes. And I said, that's fine. It's, I can do something quick. And then they said 1 hour. And then I was thinking, oh my God, what can I tell you in an hour? I'm an engineer, right? I'm quite structured, and then I need to be speaking about models that have changed society. What can I talk about? So I will share the history of Mondragon University, a university that works towards transforming, changing society, to analyze that society, to work strongly so that society's needs can be improved from our university. This is what I will try to do with you. I will share some of the history, and then I will give you 4 examples, very simple examples. I won't be the best one in talking about these examples because these are examples from someone else's work, but I'll do my best. I will share some results, and I will finish with a phrase, a quote that I'm sure will cost more in you than whatever I say. So, innovative universities, innovation in universities to face society's new challenges. There are 4 aspects that every university should consider to do this. Universities have to be responsible as a key change maker in society. Because universities educate people, because they are a key component of economies. And that's why we need to lead. And we need to make sure that the university as a whole is a true change maker for society. This is not, a university is not, just a given facility where people sit for 4 years doing nothing. No. We have 3 main missions: education, research, and innovation transfer. A university is not just a group of classrooms where students are told what they have to learn, and then we have some offices for professors and lecturers so that they can just sit there and read. We need to make sure that the university is a system where this triangle works, that education is aligned with research, and that research is aligned with innovation and knowledge transfer. We need to take responsibility for this and make sure that students and members of staff and the faculty do this as well. And we need to understand as well that our greatest and most important tool are our students. These students have chosen to spend these very important years in their lives with us at our university so that they can give back to the society the knowledge, the training, the education that they got at our university. Let's remember that our students are our best tool. I remember I was in the United States once. I can't remember who it was, and someone asked him about which was the best tool, and he answered, my kids, my students. And this is why we need to invest in them. Commitment. Research needs to be shared, transferred. Whatever research takes place at the university should have an impact on society, on businesses, on organizations, schools, economies. Research follows a process. It has to be shared so that then it is given back as well. It needs to follow a loop. And this loop needs to work and flow smoothly so that we can have more support and more funding to continue research. And we need to become leaders to transform, to change society. Our students are our best resource and tool. And we need to be fully integrated, engaged, and involved in our societies. We cannot be isolated in a campus. We need to be part of society, because it is the best way then for society to be a part of that university life as well. And that is how we will become this key change maker for society. And of course, this is a society that changes, that makes progress continuously. My grandparents, my parents, my childhood, that childhood of my own kids is not the same. It's changed. And this is why we change as well, and we need to adapt. We cannot face society's challenges, continuously changing challenges, unless we change ourselves and unless we adapt as well. I will share with you just 4 aspects. I don't want to sell my university. I don't need to do that. Our university is a cooperative, so that's innovative enough already. The owners, in between inverted commas, of course, the owners of that university are its very own staff members, faculty, etc. It's a young university. We started in 1997. But this was the result of a joint work with other faculties and schools in 1947. We have a strong program on continuous training. There are about 5,200 professionals who choose to do CPD at our university as well, these courses that we offer. We have a very strong bond with businesses, with companies. This is part of our DNA. We have a strong link with every kind of organizations on different fields, but also public services, so technology, schools, public administration, and a very close relationship with each one of them. So to innovate, to transform, to change a society that is in continuous progress. I hope I can say everything I want to share with you in 1 hour, you know. An hour sounds like a lot of time, but I'm not sure. So, to try to explain how we think a university should evolve, I will share about 15 minutes of the history of our university. I think this is very important. If we didn't have a look at the picture and we would only read the phrase, we might think that the phrase is very current. The founder, Mr. Universirarreta, went to Mondragon, realized that there were several companies and businesses, and realized that there were two kinds of classes. One with a high purchasing power, and another one that was the working class, which worked in these kinds of environments, as you can see on the slide. And it was hard for their families to make progress. So what he did was to start a vocational school. And this is how our university started. In 1943, when he realized that working low classes could not be educated, but at the same time understanding that local companies needed trained staff, he founded this school, the very beginning of our university. So this is 1943. We start with this as this vocational school, and then 1947, another important date. We have the first group of graduates, people who finish their first course, the first group of them. And they created a new company. They worked together with a new company. They grouped together with a different model or system. Traditionally, companies in the area were big companies with a lot of funding, wealthy families, and these 5 students from the school started the very first cooperative from the Mondragon group called Mondragon. It was an industrial business. Workers had a key role. They were the real owners with certain values based on solidarity, etc. And based on these first 5 students who set up this cooperative from the first group of students from the university, Mondragon Group is established and founded. It is the #1 industrial group in the Basque Country today. Our model takes solidarity and mixes this with competitiveness. We are all around the world right now with a large number of staff. And at some point, and going back to the history of the university, besides needing technical staff, local companies and businesses also needed people for other positions, for more administrative roles, for finance. And this is how the business school was founded, to answer a very specific need back in 1960 to train people in business administration. Then what happened is that not everyone had the funds to cover their studies. Basically, in their families, they said, go to work, don't go to study, we need your salary. And this is how LECOP was created. Another cooperative, and the students, as owners, as partners, can study in the morning, but then work in the afternoon. And this was created to be able to answer to these financial needs from our students' families. Then we founded Goyer, a strategy for our students to have an experience abroad, not for absolutely everyone, but for as many as we could. So from the Basque Country to other European universities. Then in 1973, we started a technological hub. Our companies, local companies, were not innovating in technological terms. So from the school, from the university, we created Ikerlan, one of the pioneering technological hubs in the Basque Country. And now, 1976. I think most of you know what happened in 1975. And then a year later, we realize that there was a need to have more people who were able to educate and train our children. Most teachers back then taught in Spanish. There were more people starting to teach in Basque. So it was necessary to have a larger number of teachers trained in the Basque language so that they would be able to teach in that language. And that's how the school for teacher training was founded. In 1997, when the university as such was actually founded out of these schools, what happened is that companies needed other profiles, other kinds of, they needed graduates from other kinds of studies and other fields. The faculty had come from had experiences in other universities as well. And these allowed us to think about which were the other courses that were needed to fit those profiles. So to answer to these needs, these other needs, this is how we decided to put together the three schools and found the university, so that we can invest more in research, and we can at the same time get organized to set up new courses. And this is what happened in 1997. And then in 2011, we founded the fourth school of our university, the Basque Culinary Center, with a very clear objective: to raise the level of training for all those people interested in the food industry. This is the best tool, we think, to improve that training, to organize it in this way, to take it to university, professional level, and not keep it at the vocational level, which is what existed until then. I wanted to share this history because, in a way, it answers to the philosophy, the vision that our university has. This is our way to lead change and transformation. And they wanted me to address the fact of facing society's new challenges. I have no clue really about this. I mean, what are the challenges? There are economists who can say what has happened, right? No one knows what will happen. It is a very complex future, I'm sure about that. I don't know what the Greek government will say or what the EU will decide, how that will have an impact on society. I know which are the challenges of my household, for example, but I don't know what society's challenges are. So I'm sure that if we get together, we will agree in many things. We will talk about health, geography, people, the elders, our parents, maybe that we need to take care of them, food safety, globalization, the environment, employment, our kids' jobs or not, that will be a challenge. When they ask me, will our kids be able to find jobs? For sure. That's my answer. That's my true hope. Because analyzing the Basque Country, really, what we will be missing is people, really, qualified, trained people. I am sure that those who want to be educated will be able to get a job. I can address what I would like to call, if you want, concerns rather than challenges. Most of it has to do with our demography. Personally, I think that competitiveness in our society is a key aspect. I will focus on the Basque Country because this is what I know best. And in order to achieve competitiveness, talent is essential. This is why I will share 4 very simple examples of what we've done at Mondragon University to try to address these concerns. The examples are new sectors, if we want to, one of them, the first one. If we want to progress, make progress as a society, to be a more wealthy society, we need to diversify our society, our sectors. What can we do to improve competitiveness in our existing businesses? Well, to invest in talent. How do we foster entrepreneurship? We've always been entrepreneurs in the Basque Country. And the 4th one, we need an educational model. Very simple 4 examples of what we've done based on these new sectors then. As I said before, in 2011, together with 7 chefs, internationally well-known and recognized, we decided to train professionals so that they could lead in the food industry, and to do it at university level, to offer university studies that would improve the training of whoever wanted to become a chef and wanted to focus on the food industry. So the university's know-how was used to set up this center. We had key players in the sector, and we had our very own prior know-how, and we put all of this together. And these key players were really well known because at the same time one of our landmarks is gastronomy, really, in a Basque country. So we knew that this would be a project that would also have an international impact and reach. It would also allow us to boost our own economy. So the Basque Culinary Center opened with undergraduate studies. We're starting with postgraduates now, focusing also on research. We thought that research was important in this area, in this field as well. Then professional training, and then an incubator, of course, a hub. Using gastronomy, which is one of the landmarks of the Basque economy, we created a new center, a new opportunity. This is what we did. Then the other aspect, talent and competitiveness. We want our companies to be successful. If they are not, then I know what will happen. Businesses are the backbone of our economies. So we need to make sure that businesses are competitive, and this is an increasingly difficult issue. So what we do is we take all of our tools to promote education, research, and innovation transfer, the three main aspects of our university. And we do this in cooperation with businesses, with companies. We take this triangle, these three aspects, to companies, to businesses, and in this way our students can have a hands-on practical work placement, that they can do their final thesis while working at these companies. We work jointly with the companies so that we can answer to their own needs. And then, of course, our staff members, our faculty, and our students are part of all of these universities. From our research, we transfer that acquired knowledge to the companies, to the businesses. And in order to do this, of course, businesses need to share with us their objectives, their goals, their vision. And this is easier to do from a technological point of view. But it is very important to do it from an educational perspective as well. this works in the technological field for our university, at the business level as well, more or less, and it works very well at the educational level for our university. We need to maximize these three aspects of our essential triangle. What we usually do at our university is that we focus on our own field, on our area, right? But no company, when they have a problem, they don't want to solve a very specific issue. They have mechanical problems, say, or logistics problems, IT problems. They want to know which are all the processes for that sort of comprehensive aspect or more broad aspect. And at universities, we find it very hard to have separate research teams to work together, right? Say IT and logistics. Even if we say that this is what businesses and companies need. And the same applies to the educational industry or field. I'm an engineer, but I'm sure that we will need ITC in education, technology in education. There's no knowledge area that can provide a single answer to a company. They need all the knowledge areas working together to provide a solution. And how do we do this? The best way to transfer knowledge are our students. So every research program in cooperation with companies include, of course, researchers from the university, the researchers from the companies or businesses themselves, and our students. Even from their second or third year of studies on a part-time basis, are involved in these research projects. And in the final year, that in most of the courses are usually for a work placement and to carry out a thesis, they are already involved in these research programs with the companies. And the same applies for PhDs. They are thinking on how to apply certain aspects based on the research. Students are the best investment for every company. Students of an undergraduate course or a postgraduate course or a PhD who work on something that's important for a company. If we think of the lifespan of any product, it's usually the average 7 years, right? But if you invest in a person, how long would that be? How many years? Longer, definitely. So we need to apply knowledge to companies, but this put together with the talent of our students at our universities. And another example to face society's challenges, entrepreneurship. About 6, 7 years ago, there was full employment, the economy was boosting, and this led to students wanting to set up their own companies.
que existe en el País Vasco, ¿no? De montar mi taller, mi pequeña empresa, mi pyme, pues cuando la economía iba muy bien, pues casi todos encontrábamos un trabajo en una gran empresa, etc., ¿no?
It wasn't really necessary for them to do this. There were jobs in companies. And because of this context, where it wasn't a need for students to set up their own companies because there were enough jobs, we felt that we needed to promote entrepreneurship and leadership. And we established the course on entrepreneurial leadership and innovation based on a Finnish model. We, of course, adapted it to our local reality. A really innovative program. We needed to relearn to do this. We had to start learning by doing. This is what we tell our students, right? But we don't really do it from the very beginning. But this time we started changing things. It was hard for us to do it, but we did it. With this model, we educate students who want to become leaders of new companies or to take leading positions in existing companies. I like this image of a bus, this metaphor of a bus where, when we get in, we sit down. At least in the Basque Country, we can sit. So we're there. We're in this journey in the bus while you're studying at university, right? Because you take a bus to go to class. But then when you finish your studies, then you're not on that bus anymore. How are we going to promote this idea of entrepreneurship, of innovation? Well, let's use the bus. What we said is that they needed to set up a company, a real company. If you take this course, you are put together in teams, in groups, and you need to set up a company that works, a real one. And when you do this, of course, if it's a new company, every week there's something that you don't know how to do it, right? You have to submit your tax statements, right? And then if this week you need to do that, then you have to go and look for help, see in the company who can help you do that. Then the next week I need to do a marketing plan. So who can help me draft this at the university? And then I go and look for those people. And this is how you learn by doing. When you have a need, you face it, you do it. And at the same time, amazing teamwork, because you have a group of students with a common goal, learning together, being assessed together as well. And at the same time, of course, they have to have results as well, and an income from that company to use it to do other things and have another experience.
Y hoy en día emprender sin visión global creo que es imposible.
You need a global vision to be an entrepreneur today. If you're going to set up a business, or if you want to set up a new business, you need a global vision. You need to understand other cultures, other countries, to know whether what you're thinking of doing will actually serve or meet a need somewhere else. And this is what we call a learning journey. We make sure that our students also go to another country. The first year they go to Finland so that they understand the model. Then the second year they go to San Francisco so that they understand how new businesses, how startups work there. The third year they go to Shanghai in China and to Pune in India. They need to pay for these trips, right? So they need to make sure that their startup, that the new business actually has some revenue so that they can use to pay for these trips. We've had the second group this year, and we wanted to go a step forward, do something else. This course, of course, was within the context of the university. So we thought of something different, and this is how we developed this innovation factory, the BBF, the Bilbao Berrikuntza Factoria. This is a space where we have startup incubators, university students who are being trained to set startups, and then innovation companies. We have the 3 stages of a new business. You have the 3 main aspects. You have people, consolidated companies, and startups working together in a hub. Let's see what comes out of this networking. All of this would be impossible with a traditional educational model. I think that some of my colleagues here in the room can speak more and better about educational models, really. But as an engineer who's been director for the last 7 months, I will try to share our educational model, which is the backbone of our university and what we think is what will transform and change our students and therefore society in turn. My university looked very much like this. A train and the lecturer, the professor, as the driver, the conductor. Students following him. And every day he leaves from a given point and ends and finishes in the same point. It is him who leads, or her. And the students may be actually paying attention, looking out of the window, or taking a nap. You never know. But there's a different model. And I think we are following this model. the one of the rowing boat. We do have a leader who says which is the path that needs to be taken, that can talk to each person and tell him or her whether they need to be quicker or not, whether they need to be stronger or not. And that if one of them is not keeping up, then it affects the group. We slow down, but we're still moving forward, and that's the role of that leader. You may change the path because of that, and he knows where to go, regardless of what the road or the path will be. And he or she will also contribute to making each one of the members of that group make the most and show the most and do their best as well within their very own capacities. He's the one always encouraging. That's the role. And I think that we're moving on to this other model, where we know where we set off from, but we don't know where we're going to. We don't know how that path will be either. The different currents may take us to one place or the other, where we need to change our decisions, where we need to make the most out of each members' skills and capabilities. And this is what, working together, what will make that we move forward. Is there a leader, a driver here? We can't see it. He or she is probably there. And I think that the educational model that we're trying to build is closer to this image than to the other two. And this is what learning by doing allows us to do. We need to learn by doing as well. We need to learn while we actually do things. And in order to do this, we need to understand that we can learn by doing. This is a real photograph, probably from the very first days of the school, of the vocational school. When you learn by doing, you learn more, you develop yourself. And this is what characterizes Mondragon University. To learn by doing, and to learn by doing as part of a team. Not everyone has the same role in every team. Some people are better in one position or the other. But in teamwork, what's important is to make the most out of the talent of each member of the team, so that the team and the group as a whole can make progress. We need to value the capabilities, the skills of each one of our students. Learning by doing and by working and being in a team, in a group, applies to everyone. Teachers, professors, lecturers also need to work in a team, and they need to share their knowledge with the students. They need to set up goals for themselves as well, so that they can really help their students and contribute to their students.
Todos nuestros estudiantes dedican muchísimo tiempo a la realización de proyectos.
Every semester at our university, our students undergo special projects. In engineering, for example, the last month and a half, that's the first year. The second year, the last 2 months of every semester. The third year, the last 3 months of each semester. And then the final year, the fourth year, it's all year round. Continuous assessment. The teacher or professor checking how his students learn, to see whether he needs to support them in something specific. We need to understand that we need to make sure that our students understand that continuous assessment means continuous work. And that if a student then falls behind, then there will be someone to help him or her, to support that student. We promote the idea that by working continuously, then you will achieve your goals at the end of the course. Internationalization. Our students need to have an international experience. Our goal is that every single one of our students has this. We haven't achieved it yet, but we know that our companies, our businesses and organizations need that profile, that kind of person. And they need to do this in real projects, in real companies. They need to be in a real classroom. For example, if they're going to become teachers, they need to be with students as well. And we do this because what's important is that they learn. We are next to them, supporting them so that they can learn. Our focus is the learning of our students. To learn by doing, teamwork, projects with everyone's talent, internationalization, real work. This is the way we will train and educate the leaders of our society. For 4 or 6 years, they will be at our university, but that will change their lives and they will be building our future. It's very important to tell them that they are the leaders of our future society. So this is why we need to invest in improving their education and their training, because their world will be more complex than ours. And to wrap up, some results from these aspects. From the Basque Culinary Center, we have about 400 graduates already. This project is recognized internationally. Nearly 30% of our students come from abroad. Every year we train about 1,000 professionals, and our incubator, our hub, has attracted new businesses from all around the world, and it is boosting the economy of the food industry, and it is undoubtedly internationally recognized. and the 10 most influential chefs are part of our project. Talent.
Eso está funcionando bien o no, es decir, ¿y la empresa invierte en eso? ¿Sí? Porque siempre es que la empresa no invierte. La empresa no invierte 2 años seguidos si no tiene resultados. El 45% de la actividad de
45% of research activity of the university. I'm sorry, the speaker corrects himself. 40% of the activity of the university is research. And of that activity, 60% is funded by private companies. That means that our research model, where the university and the company are aligned, is recognized by companies, and it shows that it works, and it serves the needs of those companies. Entrepreneurship. I said that we started that course. We have 367 students so far, graduates, and it has allowed us to make this passion for entrepreneurship grow and to take it to these other cities, Madrid, Amsterdam, Barcelona and Valencia, for undergraduates, and then postgraduate courses to other cities like Shanghai, Pune, San Francisco and Finland. BBF, the project that we started a few years ago, then students working jointly with new startups and then consolidated companies. You can see the figures there. 13 consolidated businesses, 60 students, 32 projects under startups, 41 entrepreneurs, overall 271 people. If you don't have the funding, the startup capital for your idea, then you go to this hub and then the consolidated company there gets to know you. This is what we are facilitating, this networking. To be honest, this is not only the work of our university. The fact that we have worked as an educational cooperative has helped as well. The 3 dots that you can see on the slide are the places where we've been most influential from our university and where cooperatives are most influential as well. They are the places where the highest percentage of GDP is invested in innovation and development. These are areas where there's the highest income per person and the lowest unemployment rate and the best wealth distribution. We cannot be organized following subjects. This is our model, and we need to get organized following work proposals. The future, well, I've told you that we need to transform society as society continues progressing, and we need to innovate to do this. So we need to innovate in the education of our students who will be the leaders of our very small country, Spain. Thank you very much.